Hi everybody, it's Dinah Haley, and I'm back with Uta Hagen's A Challenge for the Actor, chapter 23 of 24. I'm very excited about that. We're almost done with this. With that in mind, I am going to do some monologues after that. I'm decided that I am going to make my next series part of a project that I'm doing. The film that I was trying to do before, it seems to keep getting pushed back because of this whole COVID-19 thing, and I don't want to put like my friends or anybody at risk or do anything like that. So I'm just gonna do monologues until I can get that film to come back. Anyways, so chapter 23 is titled Homework and Rehearsal. It's kind of a part 2 from the last chapter that we did. It's just an extension on the homework besides reading the play over and over and over again, which is very important. So next part is after reading the script over and over again, learning the lines. So I kind of added a little bit more in myself to these words here because she talks a lot about content. So you don't want to just learn your lines, you want to learn the content of your lines. You want to find a relationship with your character and the words, why they're saying what they're saying, why they're reacting a certain way to what their partner is saying. She refers to chapter 8's animation, the talking portion of it. We all know that when we talk to somebody, we are communicating with them, and part of communicating is also listening. Sometimes, and I think we all do it, is when we're talking to somebody or someone's talking to us and like we kind of zone out for a second. Obviously during a performance, unless it's written in the script, that's not okay. You can't zone out. You have to stay present in the moment, right? But when you do zone out, sometimes you hear people go, wow, that's crazy. Some people, I swear, you get, and those are the kinds of reactions you get, and you can kind of tell, like, okay, like it's not that crazy, and you kind of figure this person wasn't really listening to me. And if you're not really listening, you're not really talking, you're not really responding back properly, and you're just not listening to the content of what somebody else is saying. You're kind of just zoning out, and it goes like through one ear and out the other. So you need to make sure that when you are learning your lines, you are learning the content of the lines. Sometimes I'll be helping people with certain policies. They need to memorize certain things within a particular company that they work for, or study questions when tutoring and things like that, like for history or literature or even filmmaking. And the problem is that a lot of people just like they look at their lines and they go memorize, 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 memorize. No, you don't want to do that because you're not learning the content. And if you don't have a personal relationship to the content of what it is that you're talking about or whatever it is that you're writing about, you're not going to have it memorized. It's just going to be mechanical, and you're not really going to learn it. It's not really going to be in your head because you don't have a personal relationship to it. If I'm talking about a story, about going to the beach and walking on the beach, being on a date, like I would probably talk about how hot it was, how hot the sand was, or how cold the water was. That's like the temperature, those are the textures, the feelings. The smell of the beach, how I could smell it a mile away from a grocery store. Or I might talk about the person that I was with, describing the kind of philosophies that we were discussing and things like that. And that's a pretty cool date for me. But yeah, and so like that's got a lot of content in it because I'm discussing what I'm hearing, what I'm smelling, what I'm feeling, different things like that. And so for that reason, I'm going to remember the experience because there's content in that experience. It uses a lot of my sensory memory, which I think is chapter 6, kind of a little bit of chapter 7 as well. So like 6, 7, and 8 are pretty, I feel like they're the core chapters. She keeps referring back to them. And so those chapters are like really essential for like the rest of this. But yeah, so again, learn the content of your lines. Don't just whip out your script and not read the play or not read where it's coming from. And don't just start highlighting your lines. Don't do that. And then she kind of goes on a little bit further as far as the first table read is concerned. So the first table read, a lot of actors, and I see it all the time, is where they, they're sitting at a table, obviously with all the cast, everyone's sitting there, and they start reading their lines as the person they've been cast as if they're actually performing it. I don't do that, and Uta Hagen actually suggests that you don't do that. A character that is not you yourself is like a puzzle, and or it's like it's more like a riddle. So if you're given a piece of information and someone says, okay, here's the information, here's the riddle, kind of like an escape room game, here's your situation, here's the riddle. So you're given a play, you know what's happening, you know what time period you're set in, etc., etc. Here's your character. If you are set in stone with the information given to you, and it's the only information you have, and it's just very black and white information, you're not going to have a very colorful character. You see what I'm saying? So if you go in to your first table read, or you start even preparing for an audition, and the first thing you do is start saying your lines right away as if you're performing them, you are probably going to get stuck in that same space. And then there's no character development. And then there's no growth. There's nothing to progress from, because then you become stuck with the first piece of information that you allowed to digest. So don't do that. First impressions of a script, and even, I think even of people in general, they're not always correct. So you really have to find the content and, really figure out what's going on before you start reacting, before you start performing and diving into a character. So it's really the content of the lines, again, that is vital to your character development. And that, of course, comes through rehearsals. So rehearsals, she kind of talks about like first rehearsal versus last rehearsal. And again, first rehearsal, she says, of course, go through your lines, but also try to get comfortable in the scene. And what she means by that is, like, go through the props, as they're set up on stage for you, or on a set. Go through the props, touch them, figure out what's comfortable for you and your character in relationship to the lines in which you are speaking. So, oh yeah, and like sit on furniture, stand above it, do whatever you have to do to make your character comfortable, or uncomfortable if it's an uncomfortable setting, but you know what I mean, like, get it straight. And then she says to keep developing it. I know that, and I think a lot of actors do this. A lot of actors, they'll finish performing, and then either they'll watch back the performance if they're able to, or they'll think about the play and the performance, they'll think about it over and over and over again, and then they go, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this differently. This would have been like so much more fun, or this would have, developed the scene a little bit more, or, oh man, I could have done this, it would have proved some acting chops for me, or something like that, which I totally understand. I do it all the time. I'm always like, oh man, like that was so lame. Like I didn't even do anything. Like why didn't I do this instead? Like I could have done this, you know? And then it's like a big, huge deal. But that's how we grow, so that's okay. And then she also talks about the director and your relationship with your scene partner. You know, again, respect your director, as I've mentioned before, and respect your scene partner. I find that when I have a scene partner and certain things don't match my my ideal way of the scene being performed, I find it more like an opportunity to see where else my lines could go, to see where else my motivation can go. Maybe I need to, instead of just standing here, maybe I could move my body and prove a sense of urgency, prove my needs, and emphasize my goals in this scene. And then if your director says something to you, like makes a suggestion or tells you, you know, actually, can you move from here to over here and kind of fiddle with this thing and see how, you know, and see how that works. If you're not feeling it, if it doesn't make it work for you, I would ask. That's just me. Most people would just like do it really bold and they would just go for it and they would just do something else that they would rather do. I would ask and I'd be like, can I try this? I'm a little timid when it comes to communicating with my director, because I don't want to offend anybody or, you know, overstep my boundaries as much as I would like to be bold. I just don't. So I think that covers the chapter. So finding the content of the lines and working with your partner, both inside and outside rehearsal, working with the director as far as brainstorming different ideas and things like that. That's always a good idea. And then she said this at the very end, which I liked very much. I'm sorry, I'm reading from my paper here. So rehearsal designation from Germany is and it's spelled D-I-E, and the second word is P-R-O-B-E. I don't want to mispronounce that, so I'm just going to spell it out. So if you want to look it up, you can. Which P-R-O-B, you know, for us is probe, to test, to try, to explore, and to discover. And that is the real meaning of rehearsal. So do your homework, get the content of your lines, and rehearse like crazy. Have a good time, and respect your partners and your directors. That is all for now. Chapter 24 is a pretty long chapter. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me, but I'm going to do my very best. So with that, I will see you all next time, and maybe next time I might have chapter 24 ready to go, and maybe a monologue for everyone to see.